investment. So negative 20,000 here. Right? Into an investment paying 5.1%. I is 5.1 per annum. Compounding monthly. CPY is 12. Says if Winston wants his investment to be worth 40,000, that means he's talking about his future value to be 40,000. That means positive 40,000. Right? In how many years is he talking about? 5 years. Now n is a challenge here. Quickly, how do I derive n? He talks about 5 years, but just read the last bit of it. It says, what is the minimum that he needs to add each month? So that means monthly, every month, 5 years. So that means your n is 60. And payments per year, is 12 because you're talking about months. So you go to your PMT, press enter, you get something like a negative 208.34 something. So that is the amount that this guy will be paying out of his pocket after he's invested 20,000 bucks. To is go to $40,000. All right. All good so far? All right. Let's quickly do part 2 of the question. Now, part 2 of the question tells us, it says, if Winston invests $1,000 each month, so that means this PMT is now how much? Negative 1,000, correct? So this is now negative 1,000. And then it says, immediately after the interest is calculated, what is the minimum number of months required to triple the value? Now I need to find n. What's the value of his investment at the start? It was 20,000. He needs to triple this amount. So that means this will be 60,000. Right or wrong? Did you get it, picture? And now if you go to n and press enter, you have 34.32. So by adding $1,000 each year, this is where he lands. In these many months, it takes around 35 months to grow to $60,000. Does that make sense? All right. If that makes sense, can we do question number 2, part A? This question, the financial solver, I have to make you do a lot. And Ethan, just write the values. 8F, question number 2, part A.
What do you get for the PPY and CPY?
All right. I'm just writing down the values here. So n is 60. I is something that you need to find. The present value is minus 30,000. 30,000. PMT is negative 400. Your future value is 60,000. Your CPY is 12 and your PPY is 12. Ethan, how many of them you've gotten correct?
I did positive 400.
You did positive 400, is it? Just read it. It says she's investing another 400. That 400 is going out of a bank account. It has to be negative. Alright? Michelle, where were you stuck?
Oh no, I got it.
Sorry?
I was in extra step you have to take.
How many of the points here you've actually,
All of it.
all of it? Cool. So if you got this, then it's just the challenge of handling the CAS. That's it.
Wait, oh, and
I don't know whether N is 60 or not. Right? All good. Can we do part B of the question now? B1. Part B1. Alright, so what is the answer? What is the PMT value? Tell me, Gary.
Minus 741.18.
What about you, Danu? What about you, Shell?
oh yeah, I didn't change the PPY. Oh, 74.
Did you get this? No, alright. Let's quickly, by the way, that's incorrect. Right? Now we need to read the fine prints between the question of the question. Right? You've done everything right except just one very little thing, right? Let's talk about it, right? Let's fill the stuff up. It says if the investment were to reach 40,000 in a year, so that means we're talking about what? Part B is what? So your N is 12. Yes? Your interest I is 3.2. Correct? Ethan, you need to validate those with me. And then your PV was a negative 30,000 at the start. Yes? And then your PMT is blank. I mean, that's where you need to press an enter. And your FV is 40,000. Positive. Your PPY is 12. And your CPY is 12. When you press the enter, can you just tell me what is the exact, what decimal places that you're getting?
Negative 741.18163.
Now before that, Ethan, was all of that correct? Michelle, where did you go wrong here? Or everything was correct?
No, one was fault.
Sorry?
I didn't change the PPY. What was it?
PPY is 12, no, we didn't touch it. We didn't touch it. It was 12 even before. Now, can someone on the regular calculator do 741.18 times what? I mean, is the answer is 741.19, not 18. Not 18. Right? Now, because if you do 741.18, you won't hit 40,000, you'll have 39,900 and something, right? The question says, what is the minimum amount she needs to add into the investment? What is the minimum amount she needs to add into the investment so that it doubles? Doubles or what? So that at least 40,000. At least 40,000. So you need to hit 40,000. The 74.741.1 it will not make you hit 40,000.
742. 742. Round it up.
Round it up to the nearest cent.
Yeah.
19. Not the nearest dollar. Did you get it? This is where the question can go wrong. Just by 1 cent. 1 cent makes you lose 1 mark. Does that make sense? Yes or no? All good. Now how do I validate actually? That's the question. How do I validate? So if I can someone say 741.18 times 12? Can you do that?
8,894.16.
8,000.
894.16.
And plus you'll earn some interest on top. So probably I think when this one and if you do 741.19, see again, I mean there has to be a way. Do one thing for me. How do you validate this? Now let this be 18 in your answer and take your future value off and press enter on future value. See what you get.
40,000. 40,000.
Exact 40,000, is it?
Yeah.
And if you say 19, then what do you get? I don't know, how much do you get after that?
When I did 1.8, I got 39,000.
Exactly, I thought so. When you do 1.8, you won't get 40,000. So this is the cross check that you have to do in your question. The question says it has to reach 40,000. So don't just mention, so that is where you cross validate. You put a 1.8, enter your future value, press enter. If it doesn't hit there, bump it up by 1 cent, it crosses 40,000. Make sense? This is how you do it. Mitchell, does that make sense? Alright. Let's try one more. Let's do the reducing balance loan now. Can someone do question number, example 23, question number, part A of the question. Now let's read it. 60 months, n is 60, 8%, I is 8. How much has he borrowed? $10,000. $10,000. The payments, regular payments is something that we have to calculate. I'll leave this as blank. I think Ethan, you should be right here, right? And then future value, it's a loan, 60 months, pay it off. 0. And monthly payments, 12 monthly payments. Compounding is happening monthly. Calculate the PMT. Yes, makes sense? Yeah. What's the answer? Now, what's the answer that we got here?
Negative 202.76.
0.76. Correct? Jump on to part B of the question now. Michelle, you're fine here, right? So far, so good? Go for it. That's fine. Try. It's very important to try. It could be difficult. It might not make too much sense. Give it a go. I'm happy to discuss. See, I told you one thing in the last session, that The amortization tables, if you remember that, the last value, the last payment in the amortization table was always a few cents or a few dollars up or down, because you have to knock the loan down the last payment. He's given a lot of clues here in the question. He's given a lot of clues in the question. You see here. Now, this is what the final payment looks like. How many payments this guy was making every month? $202.76, correct? Yes? So, if you go to your financial solver with this value here, check the future value. How much will be your future value? Can someone check that?
0.29.
It's not 0, it's 0.29. Positive or negative? Negative. It's a loan. It's a loan. What does negative in the future value means? Negative means anything that has to go out of your bank account, correct? That's what negative is, flowing out of your bank account. When your future value is 0.29 negative, that means this amount still has to go out even after you made the 60 payments, right? So if your 60th payment is $202.76, hear me out very clearly, you still owe 29 cents to the bank because it's still sitting in your bank account ready to go. So your final payment or your 60th payment will be addition of these two values. So that means it will be a positive. You need to add, because it has to be, this has to go out and this has to go out. So you add the two values. Or you should say negative 202.76 minus 0.29. So you will have something like a negative 203.05. That should be your 60th payment. Did you get it? How I've calculated the last payment? Yeah.
How'd you get negative 0.29?
When you solved for 202.76, keeping future value as 0, you got negative 202. You got you kept future value 0. Everything else was same. You pressed enter. You got a negative 202.76 here. Now I said, let this be value here. Take the future value off, and again go and press enter here. You will not get a 0. You will get negative 0.29 instead. You calculated for 0, it gave you that value. So it is actually contradicted itself here, right? You took that value off, let this be here, tried here. You expected a 0 because you solved it for 0, but apologies, you didn't get it. You got this value. This means that this value, this money is still sitting in your bank account after the 60th payment, ready to move out. So this has to be combined together, and that's your final payment. The amortization table's last payment is always different than what you're normally paying. So 59 payments of 202.76, last payment of negative 203.09. Now what was asked in the question? What was asked in the question? In the question it is asked how much is the interest paid, right? That's what they've asked in total or what? The final payment. And now part D of the question, now I'll do it. Part D of the question says, tell me now how much this guy has paid the interest in total. So it's very simple. His 59 payments were 202.76. His last payment, which is last payment, was 203.05. Can someone solve this for me? So if you solve this, you get some value, some 12,000 something. Can someone solve this for me, please?
12,165.89.
Good job. That's the money this guy gave out, paid total in 60 months. How much was the interest this guy paid eventually? Tell me.
165.
Yeah, minus the amount that he's actually owed starting. If you minus $10,000 here, whatever is the difference is the interest, right? That he's paid out in the span of 60 months. Financial solver questions are the most trickiest around this value, these two values. And there's another chapter, the next chapter talks about even harder problems, which talks about how we flip and play between these two. That is something that we'll do next week, right? I highly advise, irrespective of whether your school's doing this or not, please come, at least spend an hour before you come to my class, because from now on we are taking off, the rocket's taking off now, right? So if this is not clear, you won't get anything else after this. It will be very difficult. Please study an hour only for the stuff that's done here, right? Thank you.